You're gonna regret that, Cooper. Hey! Lance straightened in surprise when Liam's brother Noah burst into the barn, collared Liam, and shoved him toward the door. Get home. Get your chores done. You left the tool shed a mess. Noah turned to Lance while Liam stood glowering behind him. I need a word with you. Lance, unprepared for this turn of events, watched Liam bunch his fists, start forward again, hesitate, turn, and stride out the door. Noah glanced over his shoulder and nodded when his brother was gone. Looking back to Lance, he said, Let's talk about supplies. Supplies? Lance repeated. Now that I'm married to Olivia, I propose we gang up and put in our family's orders together. Feed, antibiotics, you name it. We'll save cash. What do you think? What do I think? I think you're out of your mind. Shouldn't you be on your honeymoon or something? Lance still couldn't believe Olivia had married him, or that the happy couple had moved into a cabin on Cooper property. He couldn't believe Noah thought he had the right to say anything in the running of Thornhill. Was the world spinning backward? Sure felt like it. Noah's mouth pinched into a thin line. I'm not leaving the Flying W in this drought. Things are too precarious and you know it. Look at the way things are around here. Thornhill is in bad shape, and it's a miracle your family still owns it at all after the years you were away and Dale was— Watch it! Lance wasn't about to listen to Noah badmouth his father. Maybe Dale had gotten in trouble multiple times. Maybe he'd landed in jail and died there. Lance had been as surprised as anyone else to find out he'd managed to hold on to the spread during the years the rest of them had gone to Idaho. He'd never forget the phone call from the lawyer who let him know he and his siblings had inherited the place. At the time, he'd been happy to come back to Chance Creek. Now, the spread felt like a prison with its endless rounds of work and repairs. There was no time or money to pursue the twin careers he'd once thought were in his grasp. Let's sit down and go over the numbers, Noah argued. Can't. It was nearly 5. He was due at the History Museum for an Historical Society meeting in a couple of hours, and first he needed to shower, then go get a burger. Tonight's planning session would focus on the Revolutionary War reenactment the group did every year on July 4th, and it was about the only thing getting him through the day right now. He'd taken part every year since he'd been a kid, except the years his mother Enid had taken them to Idaho and left them there with her sister. It was one of the best things about returning to Chance Creek. Can't or won't? Noah demanded. Got somewhere to be. If he'd known Noah Turner would be trying to boss him around on his own ranch, maybe he'd never have come back. You're blind if you can't see what's coming. A muscle worked in Noah's jaw. Maybe you don't want me interfering, but this is still Olivia's home, my home now too. Like it or not, I've got an interest in how it's run. How would you like it if I told you how to run your ranch? We're not talking about the Flying W. Of course not. The Flying W probably had plenty of money. It was probably raking it in hand over fist. The Turners always did everything right. I don't have time for this. Lance put away the saddle and wiped his hands on a rag. Fine, I'll talk to Steele. Noah headed for the door, his impatience evident. My brother's not going to say anything different, Lance called after him, but Noah was already gone. He was right about one thing. This drought was taking its toll, and there was no rain in the forecast. The temperatures had been baking since the beginning of May. Now it was June, and there was no relief in sight. That didn't give Noah an excuse to try to ride roughshod over them, though. He might think his marriage to Olivia gave him control of Cooper land, but that wasn't the way things worked. And he wouldn't give Liam the satisfaction of taking orders from Noah either. Lance paused. Speaking of Liam, he didn't get to dictate who he spent time with. Maybe he should stop and see Maya on his way to town. After all, Liam had hit on Troy at the wedding. Lance hadn't seen his sister in years before she arrived for the celebration, and he knew damn well Liam hadn't been harboring some secret crush on her. Liam had done it to get back at Lance. He'd get what was coming to him. Lance wouldn't mind one bit spending more time with Maya Turner anyway. Unlike her pain-in-the-ass brothers, she was funny and kind and seemed to have a good head on her shoulders. If their families hadn't been at each other's throats all the time, they might have been friends. But even though Noah had married Olivia, their families were as estranged as ever. Ever since the Founders' Prize had been announced, the rivalry between them had come to a simmer. Both families needed to win that prize, a vacant ranch that abutted the northern end of their properties. Whoever controlled the Ridley property controlled Pittance Creek, a vital commodity for both their spreads, especially in a drought. His family had taken a big step toward winning when they pulled together a bid to upgrade Chance Creek High with the help of Carl Whitfield and his wealthy friends. Unfortunately, the Turners had countered by raising money to save the town.